There ain't nothing wrong with me that you can't fix. There ain't nothing wrong with
Hey, I'm Brad Maule, and welcome to Made in Nacogdoches. And today's special guest is Carter Colvin. He was a student at SFA in the film program a couple of years ago, I think it's been.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel really lucky to have him today because, well, he'll tell you about stuff he's been doing, but he actually has made the big leap from graduating college with a film degree, and all of a sudden he's out in Atlanta now. And, he's in real-time show business. And also, it really helps the podcast a lot. Like, right at you every week, but just like and then push that subscribe button. And that way, more and more people will watch it, and more and more people will have a good time, I hope. So right now, here is Carter Colvin.
Hello.
Tell me about yourself.
Tell you about myself. Well, I am graduated about 3 years ago. I think 2 years ago because I graduated in December. But I grew up in East Texas, around the Tyler, East Texas, Lindell area. And I really just since then have been looking for ways to explore art and advance my career that way. And I really just feel like it's been pretty cool.
Okay.
Pretty cool journey.
So you were you a theater kid also?
I was.
Yeah.
I jumped between both film and theater.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What plays did you do at Stephen F. Austin?
I did Lord of the Flies. And that was pretty much my only play. I joined the improv troupe and did some improv with them. But yeah, mainly Lord of the Flies.
And then you transferred into film, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, really, I started as general admissions, general studies. I was like, I don't really know what it is that I want to do, what I want to study, get into, and eventually I took your class, and the very first day that I was in your class, I was like, this is what I want to do. I was like, it was so clear the way that you just like told stories and was like, you were so passionate about it. And that really inspired me to just jump on the film train. I was like, I think this is the degree that I want to do. I came in not really having a plan for what I wanted to get a degree in. And that helped me get so much just clarity on what I wanted to do.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I didn't bring you here to tell me that, but I like
it's really true. I mean, it was that first day I was like, this is what I want to do.
Well, enough that you would move to Atlanta and be a starving artist and all that kind of stuff. When you graduated college, was it just like this kind of stepping off a cliff into a void, or what was it like?
Yeah, pretty much. I came with basically like $600 in my pocket, barely anything to my name. And it was on the heels of my mother passing. And I was like, this really just, I feel like if this is the time to do it, this is the time to do it. It was just a time of a lot of change in my life. And I was like, I feel like if I'm going to do it, I might as well just do it now and just take the leap. So
let's just start out with like, did you leave in the morning, in the afternoon? Where did you leave from when you went to Atlanta?
I planned it. So we had the holidays, we had Christmas. And so from that point, I was like just getting all my stuff together. I just graduated. Mom passing, graduation, all that happened kind of all at once. And so I was like, this is, just the time to gear up. And so I packed my bags, and literally the day after Christmas, I just packed up and moved to Atlanta. And I met some roommates, some friends here that I was like, these guys seem cool. I think we could get a good start in Atlanta, and we did.
Oh, so did you drive out with some people or by yourself?
I drove out by myself. They got a U-Haul, and so I went out with my dad. He helped me move in.
But you did kind of know somebody when you got out there. You had roommates
that
live in.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, we had.
That helps some.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the night before you left, the reason I'm asking this is because I know that I've had my own issues with, our memories, I guess, of like trying to leave Los Angeles rather than come to it. Those are two different times, But what was the night before like as you packed your stuff? Was it full of memories? And
it was just on the heels of so much happening. Graduating, losing her, I was like, this is really you know, this is just what I have to do. And I almost went into like just kind of soldier mode, just like
Okay.
this is what we're doing. And there wasn't a lot of thoughts or like some deep methodical like
So you tried to bury your emotions a
Yeah.
little bit.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And then how was the drive out with your dad? Was that all right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I drove my car and then he drove the U-Haul.
Okay.
So I drove pretty much just all that I could take in my car, and then of course he packed the U-Haul with all the furniture and all the things that I need.
Did you spend the night on the way out there? Or did you drive straight through?
Really, every time I come in and I make the drive from Atlanta, I stay in Ruston because that's where my dad's family is. And so we always have like a little pit stop in between.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. So you get there. What happens?
I just started submitting for as much stuff as I possibly could. There was some casting agencies that I was already familiar with. I worked on season 4 of Stranger Things way back in, I guess this was 2021.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
So he was on Stranger Things. That's a pretty big deal. How did that happen?
Luck. Really complete luck. It was one summer in between. I was still trying to figure out, this was when COVID happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, everything was shut down. All the productions were shut down, everything. And I was like, what do I want to do this summer? I was like, I need a summer job. I need something to do. And I'd watched the third season over again. And I just started scrolling through the credits and looking and seeing, okay, what could I get involved with in this way? Because I knew I loved the show. And I was interested in film. Of course, art's always been something I'm passionate about, but I was like, well, how could I get involved with this show specifically? And so I just scrolled down and I saw that they were casting for extras and for doubles and for stand-ins. And I just submitted on this website, submitted my headshot, and really the rest is history. I mean, I just submitted a headshot and I submitted my email and they got back to me. They were like, we think you'd be a really good fit for Dustin, who I doubled for and stood in for.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not that easy, by the way, people.
It's really not. When you get to another level, it's not that easy.
No.
But I felt very lucky in that situation.
That is crazy, though. I mean, most people talk about is that they went out there, they struggled for 10 years and always no and no and no. And you were sitting at home just on the computer and you just said, you send them a picture and a resume?
A picture, a resume, and a headshot. And that was it. And they were like, we think you'd be a great fit. I came in at like the tail end when they were shooting like the last couple episodes and I had no idea. I was absolutely terrified my first day of set. Had no clue because I had never been introduced to film before.
That's what I want to know about.
This was my very first set ever, which was insane.
Yeah, I mean, and plus you're on a show that you love.
Yes.
So did you fan out a little bit or?
Absolutely.
Did you keep it to yourself? Or?
Yes. Oh. As much as I possibly could. I was like, I don't want to give the idea that I'm like a super fan, even though I loved the show.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to play cool. I'm just kind of sit in the back, just watch, observe. And luckily, I had help. One of the doubles, her name is Jamie. She stands in for Max. And she basically just took me under her wing. She was like, you're new, like you've never been on a film set before. And she was just like fascinated by that and brought her back to when she was first doing it.
How lucky.
And I was like, this is somebody that I need to talk to and like just learn from. And so she helped me like learn what sides were, what crafty was, just all these things that you don't know first coming in, and really, really helped me like my first couple of days, just get the hang of it.
Well, you're lucky. That's great. So, the first time you who were you doubling for?
Dustin.
Mm-hmm. So the first time you walked in the set, did you get to meet him or was it just kind of like, I'm just, you didn't exist, or what's it like?
A little bit of both. It's like everybody's so busy doing their thing and in their own world. When you're double or stand-in, you're kind of at the bottom of the tier list in terms of roles. But it was just cool to be on set. And for that to be my first experience and to see it at that level was just such a world changer. And then, of course, they pulled me in to do some background scenes for the high school and things like that. And so that gave me more of an idea of, what is it that they do on camera? How can I, watch and see what they do, and seeing all their processes was really inspirational for me too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And plus you had experience in terms of a little taste of everything, working on little sets, uh, editing, doing some stuff like that. So were you just sort of just absorbing all of this? I mean, you sort of understood what the camera people and the assistant camera person, the first day, you understood all that, but was it not what you thought?
I honestly had no idea.
Wow.
Honestly, had
you been?
no clue. No clue. I have no idea how I got that first job.
That's great.
No clue.
So did you know how to hit a mark?
I knew how to hit a mark. I actually, the night before, I was really nervous, and I was like, I'm about to show up on this film set with all these stars and not know a dang thing about film or about how it's actually done.
Yeah.
And so I just did research. What does a stand-in do? What is a double? And that kind of guided me into, okay, what do I need to look out for? What are the keywords? Being green, they would call you green if you're new on set.
Well, okay. So that's some stuff that most of us don't know about. What does a double do, and what did you have to hit? Obviously, to hit marks and stuff. But what's the process?
Basically, when you're doubling, they're getting footage of anything that the actor isn't shown for, that their face isn't shown for. So their hands, if they're doing something with their hands, if it's behind the back shot, they're gonna do a double. That could be a stunt double, regular double. You really don't know the difference.
Were you kind of the same size as him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when we measured, I was about the same size. I remember going into wardrobe and being like, just really nervous that I wasn't going to fit his clothes, because I knew he was a bit bigger than I was in terms of just like body mass and things like that. And I was like, I really don't know if this is going to work out. And I was just hoping and praying the costumer would look at me and be like, yeah, he's a good fit. And she kind of looked at me up and down. She was like, there's that kind of like intense just moment of waiting to hear her response. And she's like, I think it'll work.
Wow.
I was like, heck yeah.
And
Awesome.
how many episodes did you do? How many times did you work?
I worked doubling. I don't know exactly how many days. They kind of all run together, but I know it was the last 2 episodes. And my first scene, honestly, it was super, super easy. I was just riding in a car. But what happens is you actually end up doing kind of a stunt. It's like the car is going so fast, you think it should be kind of considered a stunt, because whatever the scene was at the time, I didn't know what was happening, because they don't really give us sides, because it's so under wraps. Everything that they do is so secret. So they're just like, okay, you're just going to sit in this car, they're going to drive off, and that'll be the scene. Well, as soon as they yell action, this stuntman just books it. I mean, just like goes super, super fast. And I was like, what did I just get myself into? And almost hit a cop car. I mean, it was just like, it was insane. I had never been introduced to something like that. But yeah, I mean, we don't get paid what stunts would get paid. It's just you're there, but you're not driving. So it's not considered technically that you're doing a stunt.
Right.
But a warning for how fast we were going to be going would have been nice, just to see.
Well, maybe
what
they
this is
got
gonna
an
be
honest
like.
reaction out of you.
They did, but they never show your face, so it really doesn't matter. You're the body that is glared out in the windshield.
Yeah.
So you're not really seen.
But still your body
But still
reacts.
you're there, and you feel it, and it's exciting.
In some ways, I think what a great lucky break, because if they had brought you on as, okay, you got a big part here and you're in Stranger Things, that could have been very overwhelming, very intimidating, especially if you have lots of lines, because it's real easy to go up on lines and stuff.
Well, and for stand-in, it really kind of depends on the set if they have you say lines or not. There's some sets I've been on, you rehearse before even first team gets in there, and the director really wants a full feel of the scene. And so in those situations, you really do get to incorporate your acting and really kind of build those skills up, which is really nice. And then other times, like on Stranger Things, where they're trying to go fast and they're trying to get stuff done, and they don't have as much time to spend with the stand-ins, working out the play of the scene. They want to see what their actors are going to do. And so you don't have lines in those situations. So, but you have the blocking, and you're able to get a feel for what's happening in the scene, and all of that still.
And was this before you moved? I mean, this was between semesters or something when you
This was before I even came to SFA. It was between semesters.
Okay.
I started at Texas State before I went to SFA.
Okay.
and we were in COVID time, so there was just kind of this dead space in between summers, and I was like, I feel like I need a good job, I need something to do, and this kind of just presented itself, and I saw that they were looking for doubles. It was like scrolling on Facebook too, and I saw it there, and I was like, is this real? And my mom, she thought it was fake. She was like, this sounds like a scam. I'm like, that's what I thought. And then I got the call from the guy, and he's like, no, this is real. He's like, I can assure you all this is very, very real.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so going back now, going back a little forward in time, you in the U-Haul, you moved with your dad, helped you, you got out there. Like, did you have an apartment before by the time you got there? Had you booked one already?
We did plan out an apartment. We planned out pretty much that whole plan before we were going to graduate.
And so the friends you were living with were all actors and that kind of thing?
Yep.
And so you get up the first morning after you're there, what do you do? I mean, how do you get into show business?
Well, I got there first, and so I had probably just like 2 or 3 weeks where I was just in the apartment by myself. And in times where I really don't know what to do, I just kind of start creating stuff. And so I started writing a lot of music during that time and trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to get into this? And really, I knew I had the opportunity coming up for Stranger Things once the season started, and because I figured they would use me again, and they ended up doing it. But it was kind of complicated because they didn't bring me in right at first. They brought me in kind of later into the season to stand in for some of the kids, and they had another stand-in for him who had been there since like season 2. And so I was like kind of the backup stand-in for him / the double that would come in. And that's when I started just applying to all the other agencies, trying to get my foot in the door, and then got this movie called Fireville Street, which hasn't come out yet.
Tell me about it.
It's got Anne Hathaway, Ewan McGregor. It's a 80s sci-fi dinosaur movie it's honestly, it's so wild. I don't want to spoil the plot because it hasn't even come out yet.
No.
I haven't released a trailer, but it's really a very exciting movie. It's by the same director who did what's that movie called? I'm going blank.
It's okay.
But he works in horror primarily. He's primarily a horror director, and he did gosh, what is the name of that movie? I really don't remember the name.
That's
of that
all right.
movie.
We'll figure it out.
But yeah, he really just kind of inspired me, just because I directed movies, of course, in college, and it was cool to see just how these directors work in the real space, and that was real impactful for me.
What is it like on a real set? Is it quiet and busy and intense, happy, sad?
All those. Really, all those things you just described. It's like when the actors are doing their thing, when they're getting into character, when they're, also everybody's kind of in their own world. It's the actors are in their own world trying to get prepped for the scene. The crew is scrambling around trying to get set in time for the actor to come in, and it's all those things. It's chaos and peace and everything mixed in between at just at different moments.
Do you feel pretty alone when you're out there?
At times, yeah, for sure. But you find your group, and one thing that's helped me is just finding kind of my own community of actors.
And who is that, and how did you find them?
Really, theater. Just getting back to the roots of why I love to act and why I love to create, and just getting around other very creative people. And I think it helps to do it outside of the professional setting, because you get to really explore and you get to trial and error a lot of things, and I feel like that's where you really grow.
So you were auditioning for theater, plays and things like that out there?
And theater and film, got on at the Actors Access, and really just have kind of tried to make my way there, self-submit for a lot of short films with SCAD and a lot of other films out there.
And how is Atlanta for show business right now? Is it busy?
Dead.
Is it dead?
It's dead right now.
What's the deal?
I think it's just kind of the byproduct of, we're coming off the heels of the strike. The strike has it slowed down everything for the period that the strike was happening. And then on the heels of it, right at the very end when the strike ended, I think all the shows that were written before kind of got to come to fruition. So it was just like a boom. Everything was happening all at once. All the projects that were supposed to happen came back on top of projects that were supposed to be made like in between. And so you had kind of this boom, this surge right at first, and then it kind of dwindled down. And now we're kind of seeing that
So you had backed up product, really. They had a lot of scripts and stuff they needed to be filming. This was during maybe COVID and
right.
and the strike was at the same time, or okay.
Yeah.
So that's why. So they had probably, I guess, tell me if I'm wrong, written all the scripts. You know, they had to turn them in before COVID shut everything down, I guess. And then, so there's a backlog of business. So it's normal for it to slow down. Did you know that Texas passed a bill this year to help film? So we may
Which is amazing.
We may steal a little bit of your business out in Atlanta.
That would be great. And if it comes back to Texas, I probably won't hesitate to come back, because I think that would be such a cool opportunity to bring film to Texas. And I know like Matthew McConaughey, Owen Wilson, all these kind of classic Texas actors.
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson. They're all kind of trying to bring film back this way. And even Matthew McConaughey's a professor at Texas. He's got his own class where he's teaching film, which I think is so cool. And it's always, I have friends who have like tried to get into his classes, and they say it's almost impossible. As soon as it opens up, everybody books into that one class and tries to get in his class, which I think is hilarious. It's so funny.
That's excellent. Well, so what I know you can't tell me the plot, but what part did you get in this movie that you got? The one.
It was still a double part.
Okay.
Doubling for one of the kids because of my. Do what?
Have you got to audition as an actor for any films yet?
Yes. So I've had a lot of auditions through Actors Access.
Okay.
And I've booked a few short films in LA. One of them I was able to go to and do. And then one of them I wasn't because it conflicted with work. And trying to get to LA and plan all that out was kind of a stretch, really.
And it's expensive too.
And it's really expensive, and it was kind of low pay, so I wasn't able to do it. But, you know, it's just kind of the same thing of putting stuff out there into the void, hoping that somebody picks up on it, and continuing to submit and be hopeful that you'll get it.
Now, did you notice the difference, like when you were as a double, when you were watching the actual actors or stars or whatever work? Is there a difference between stage and film acting that you've learned? What is it?
Film acting is much more subtle in how they go about it. They're much more, I feel like, not intentional, because there is an intention in theater that's very strong, but you also have to be able to reach the back row and show emotion to everyone in that audience. Whereas film, it's so intimate and right here and close, and I feel like the processes are probably pretty similar to get there emotionally, but how you effectively like end up doing it is completely different.
And have you changed? Has it affected you in your auditions and stuff?
I definitely feel like I'm more prone towards film acting, just kind of my demeanor as a person, and the kind of roles that I feel like I can go for, I feel like fit more in film than they do in theater.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you mind telling people how old you are?
I'm 25.
It's 25. How old do you cast as?
Probably anywhere from like 16 to maybe 21. It's a very small range, and mostly younger, I feel like is what they would cast me as. But
do you understand that's a blessing that you know, because if you're under 18, you have to have a teacher and a tutor and you know, all that stuff, and you can only work for so many hours and all that. So you're in like the Goldilocks, the sweet spot of acting, which is incredible.
But it doesn't last forever. It doesn't last forever. And, you know, as a person, I feel 25 in my bones.
What is 25 compared to whatever you look like?
I think 25 is a time where reality meets your like exploration as a person. I feel like it's this time of, you've had this time to experimenting, maybe college if you went to college, and you've had this time to really explore and create. And then you have to find a way for that to mesh with the real world. When you go out and you find that it's more difficult to have that freedom and to feel that freedom when you go out and do these things.
Okay. I can actually remember a time in my life, I was 24, and I thought I thought I had wasted my life, because I wasn't, I wasn't a star or whatever. But I remember just thinking, I'm so old, or life is over. And it's, I know people are like, yeah, but it's not. But the thing is, it feels just as real.
Mm-hmm.
So you're turning into, not that you had that same feeling, but you are meeting that I have to grow up and be responsible and do all that kind of stuff. Do you feel like time is ticking away for you, or you?
I think we all feel that way in a lot of ways. There's this pressure in your 20s, especially, I think, to make it happen right now. And oftentimes that's not how it works. You just have to be patient and keep trying and stay positive in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And that all we actually have is right now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have all that other junk that you're thinking about and all the future that you wish to be. So if you can stay there, that's a really good present in that moment. It's a good thing. I don't know if this is awkward or not, but you've mentioned 3 times your mother passing, right as the transitions were being made. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, she was such just an inspirational person in my life, and really
kind of young too. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she was 59 when she passed. So, I mean, still that's young in my mind in terms of how long you could have in this life. Yeah. And I think that she wanted to live more life. That's the hard part to digest with all of that, is that there's more things that she wanted to do with her life. And, it's like you see her grieve that when she had to quit school because she has to go to treatments and all these things.
Was she a teacher?
Mm-hmm. She was a teacher.
And then did she get sick, I guess?
Mm-hmm. She got sick. I was in my junior year of high school when she got sick. So from that point, really, at first, we found out it was a slow-growing cancer and that she was still in stage 4, so it would grow, and that there's no really surgeries that could be done to get rid of it. And so at that point, we were like, okay, we know this is what we're dealing with, and we know that chemo has worked for some people in the past for this kind of cancer. But cancer is really tricky, and hers ended up mutating into another type of cancer. And really just kind of, for a few years, it was fine. I mean, she was just fine. And she acted normal. Her energy was up. And the time is that we didn't have to deal with it. We didn't think about it. And then probably like the last 2 years were the hardest when she got really sick.
During the time that she was sort of okay, did you have, and you can absolutely say Brad minds her own business on any of this, but did you have times when were you more honest with each other than a parent-child relationship usually is?
Oh, 100%.
So, yeah.
Everything came out at that time. I mean, just what I was feeling, why, when something like that happens, a part of you wants to draw back from the situation. I felt myself being drawn to want to go do other things and not really wanting to address what was happening. And she was like, we really need you here right now. Like, this is getting serious. And that didn't really register for me till she got a real serious tone. She was like, this is happening now. We need you here right now.
But she was just a kid in a lot of ways.
Yeah. But it was, she was so, like I said, she was so inspirational and impactful in my life, and the values that she had, I feel like, have carried over to me in a lot of ways. And I still try to keep her memory alive in that way. So,
what kind of values?
She was just true to herself. I mean, she made it known. She didn't put on a face for anybody. I mean, she was very honest with who she was as a person. She had just this warmth and this just positive energy. A lot of my friends would call her like Mrs. Weasley from Harry Potter, because she had this warmth and just this air about her that she would welcome anybody in the house and make them feel loved and make them feel welcome. And I tried to carry that when I would have friends over in college and, try to make them feel at home. And that was always something that I wanted to bring with me just wherever I went. And as you get older and, start to miss that side of her and feel like you're kind of losing it at the same time. That's not as always easy to do, but still in the back of my mind, that's something that I think about a lot.
Do you feel her still?
Mm-hmm.
Do you dream about her and stuff? Or
I did a lot right when it happened. I mean, for the solid like 3 or 4 months, she was in my dreams all the time. And
in
then
a good way, or
in a good way. I mean, it was like I almost felt like she was just reaching out to me and saying, "I'm still here. Like I'm still with you."
wow.
And that carried over with me. And honestly, it kept me positive during that time. It kept me just up of course, as time goes along and the memories get longer spread apart and that time sets in. Honestly, it's harder at that point because you're not as numb to what just happened and you're able to like marinate and it sits with you for a little bit. And then it's like, okay, I feel the loss of her. Like I miss her.
More now than even went during the event itself.
Mm-hmm.
So has it affected you, like you were talking about meeting 25 and all that kind of stuff? Do you think that does that speak through your voice when you act or when you audition for things? Or
It comes into every part, I feel like. Not the sadness of it, but the gravity of that situation, I think, helps me play into very strong emotional situations. And there's certain times where that becomes something that I do lean back on and think about to get me to where I need to be for a certain scene. And that's been very, very powerful to have. And if anything, it's a gift from her, you know, just the life that we lived. And it's just, I mean, it's so much you can't even talk about it. It's not just sadness. It's all the memories we had and all the joy that we had before that compiles into just this pure, raw feeling that just kind of builds up. And that's how you get set for certain scenes.
yeah, you know, and it's like you said, it's kind of a blessing, but it's maybe when before you walk in a room in an audition, it's not quite so nerve-wracking when you realize that what you've been through. You can put that on kind of like armor, I would think, or remind yourself before you walk in that room. Because I know that helps a lot of actors is to, you know, you get lost in what's coming up. I got to audition. There's going to be powerful people in the room. My hands are sweating.
It's so easy to get in your head.
I'm shaking.
So
yeah,
easy.
you're in your head. But sometimes if you have that kind of transcendent moment, which is, and I think we talked about that in class before too, but if you don't think about your mother as this grief-stricken, sad thing that happened, but rather those good memories you're talking about, that suddenly puts things into perspective. When you walk in that room, it's like me being nervous is not that important compared to the loss of my mother, the things that I've gone through. So I think it gives you a little bit more peace and quiet, maybe. So that's good.
It does. And, you know, of course, there's times where you do lose it in your head and you're like, you know, this is really important. And you let the logistics of things kind of get in the way of, I just need to be here to tell this story. And I think that's the battle most every actor faces on the day is, am I going to let my personal life and all the things going on, all the noise, distract me from what is happening with this character and this story and what that could possibly mean to someone else who watches it?
Now, are you taking acting lessons or anything out there?
I'm taking acting classes right now. Found a studio pretty soon after I got out there. It was hard when I first was out there and you're on set every day. And so you can't really commit to being in class all the time, every single week. But if anything, that experience gave me the experience of what it's like to be on set all the time and to get used to the stamina that it takes and the endurance that it takes to be on set long hours, 12, 14 hours, and to still be intact and still have your brain at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think most people don't realize how long those days are and how exhausting for the actors, for the crew that it can be. But I mean, it just goes to show when it's all done, when it's all edited together, it's this beautiful piece of work. It's this huge picture that the director and all the artists have created.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize oftentimes, like, it's not like you're carrying rocks for 12 hours, you know? What you're really doing is probably 2 minutes of actual acting or whatever. But somehow or another, just like you said, there is a stress, there is a work that goes on for that 12 hours you're on the set. Some of it, I think, is just kind of not getting into your head, but not getting crazy, or just being kind of fun to be around and kind of a normal person. Is that what you've experienced?
Yeah, I mean, really, as long as you're somebody that everybody on set can get along with and that they like to be around, you're pretty much set. I mean, especially in a position like mine where it's like maybe I'm not really on camera or, acting in that way, but I still have a part in, helping the set kind of energy, just the energy that you're going to be around on set, and that everybody feeds into everybody in that.
Yeah. I've noticed that once the actors actually come on set, it's like you were talking about, makeup's over here doing their thing. All these different parts of it are all operating, but it seems like all the energy just flows right into that one spot all of a sudden. Do they have a sound? Are you on a sound stage or on location?
Both. So there was a big chunk of this last movie that I did that we were actually in the house shooting scenes, and then pretty much anything interior is going to be on a sound stage for just about.
So do they ring a bell before when it's time, or any of that kind of stuff anymore? Okay.
Still ring a bell. The PAs, which I became friends with a lot of the PAs out there, they're the people that you see the most when you're standing in doubling, and they're really hard workers who are trying to work to become an AD or to try to get into more of the crew side of things. And much respect to them because they work very, very hard at what they do to make it all happen.
Yeah, they actually do work 12 hours.
They actually do work 12 hours. They don't get a break. No. They don't get to go back to the tent. I get to go back to my chair, every once in a while. They are up all the time. And, I think maybe sometimes they get jealous of us being able to lounge in the chair and, like kind of chillax, and we make about the same amount of money. And it's just like,
especially if you become friends, they probably go, I hate you, actually.
That energy is there sometimes where they're like, you're so lucky. I'm like, I know I'm so lucky. Yeah. Just sign up like I did, and hopefully you'll get lucky.
I was curious when you said that's kind of the way you created your tribe out there, your circle of people. What's it like when you're not on set? What are the people like?
When you're not on set?
I mean, who are your friends? What have you?
Really, I mean, the theater people that I met out there have become my closest friends. And I mean, we're all kind of chasing the same thing, whether it's you want to go into film or theater is your thing, you want to do musical theater. I think you can learn from all those experiences. They all play into each other. It's not like, I'm just a film actor and I can't experience what a musical is like. You want to experience all of it. I mean, anything in your tool belt that you can use to feed off of each other, I think works.
What do you do in your off time?
I try to write a lot of music. I really love music and have always loved music, even when I was a child. I mean, that's where the love of art, I think, started for me was music.
See, and that's what we haven't really explored. Like you're a songwriter and you play piano, right? Mm-hmm. So was that as a small child you started that or something?
Yeah, I mean, it really started, I grew up in church and I started singing and playing in the worship band at church. And that was a huge, just instrumental part in me finding the love of music. And from that point, just getting used to being in front of people, on Sunday mornings. And that led to the love of theater, which I didn't discover really till high school. It wasn't until high school that I really got involved and decided that acting was something that I wanted to try. But it's all in the same world. I mean, it's all, it's a expression and trying to just kind of say what is the life that we're living here? How can we share that with other people?
And when did you start writing songs?
I started writing really since I was like 12. I mean, it would just be like little snippets. It's still, what's funny is it's still little snippets that I get. It'll just be like during the day, I'm doing something and then this melody just pops up and I'm like, okay, I have to write this down or I have to record this. And I still do that to this day. I mean, I probably have like 300 just snippets of songs, like little pieces that I've written. Where I struggle is the follow through and putting it all together and making a full song. But I have all these little bits and pieces that have come to me throughout. And sometimes what's really cool is I'll get two of those pieces and they'll come together. And I find out they actually match really, really well together. And so I get another piece of the song.
Okay. And what do you write songs about?
Really anything. Sometimes it's, if a friend is going through something and I see that they're, struggling with in their love life. That's not something I have a lot of experience in. Haven't really dated around a whole lot, but I really just anything that I find in life that is a struggle, is a joy that brings out a strong emotion that inspires me to be able to write and to kind of fit just what I see happening.
What happens? What's made you finish a song before? Because you say you have 300 pieces of songs floating around to you. Cooking is actually what they're doing. They're cooking up there. They come to fruition when they come. But when you do complete a song, what's the difference? What happened? Was it discipline? You just said, I'm going to finish a song, or is it just that it works?
I think you have to have that discipline. I'm kind of to the point where I think to finish the full thing, you have to have some kind of discipline to finish it out and to get it done. Okay. And that's the part that I'm learning and that I'm really trying to work on, just a consistent routine for, this plays into acting too, but to build your skills, just to do a monologue on the side, to get more reps in. And that's the self-discipline and the off times that you have to build up when you're not doing a show or you're not working on set.
Another thing that I keyed off of just then is you were raised in the church.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a big part of your life, from what I understand. How does that go with show business? Does it work with show business? Is it a challenge? Because a lot of people think, these actors, creatives, they don't have any spiritual life or whatever. Have you found any of that, or is it actually helping you?
A little bit of both, I think. I mean, there's times that I go through and I'm like, what's being presented to me spiritually and, politically doesn't quite make sense, in my mind, and not to get, political or anything like that. But there's times that it doesn't sit well with my spirit and that I don't feel like
show business doesn't sit with your spirit, or what?
There are a lot of conflicts with show business, I think, and kind of the mentality. But I think one problem that I find in myself with the church is the ability and the right to express, because we're in an industry where that's the main focus, is to tell stories and to express, however that may come across. And that's not really, I don't think, accepted by the church in some ways, is to allow that to happen if it's not for God, if it doesn't support, God's narrative or his judgment. And I think that's the main kind of pushback or discrepancy. And so in myself, I've found it hard to give myself permission to express and to really give myself over fully to a character, because maybe personally I wasn't raised to agree with what they believe or what they do. But that's where the empathy of the actor comes in and says, I need to understand this person. I need to be on their side in some way.
So how do you make sense out of that? How do you handle it? Does it hold you back as an actor, or does it free you?
It's freeing once you realize how you can break through it. But it's a stronghold for a long time until you realize that it's happening, I think.
So do you feel like you're sinning or something when you're saying these lines, or?
There's sometimes you feel that, but I don't feel that necessarily anymore, because it's what the character's experiencing. It's like I've made that clear distinction.
It's not you, it's the character.
It's the character. And you have to make that distinction. But you also have to give yourself over to it. I mean, it's almost a spiritual thing. And people say like you're getting like possessed by the character or whatever. It is taking your body, it's taking your emotions, your voice, and you become someone else in a different situation that you're usually not, you know. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that's an evil thing. It's expression. It's something that you've gone through maybe in your life that you've experienced that you can pour into this character who might handle it a little bit differently. They might be a bad guy. They might do something terrible with that pain. They might take that pain and become the most inspirational person ever, you know?
I always find it curious because there's, other than, I guess, psychopath or something, there's not really true villains. Most villains are bad. Most of the people opposing the hero don't think of themselves as a bad person. They're just acting out of anger, acting out of sadness or whatever. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's just all interesting to me. So what is unsaid here, do you think?
What's unsaid?
Yeah, what's unsaid about your whole experience out there? Is it the best time of your life, the worst times, all of it between?
It's a giant roller coaster, I feel like.
Why? What's the up and what's the down?
The up is when you have a project, when you're working steadily on something and you feel inspired going to work every day and this becomes your life. And I think pretty much everybody on set goes kind of through this ride where you're on this project. It's really exciting. You feel like you're building something every day. It's coming to fruition. You get to see it all come together and it's really exciting. And then it all ends one day and you have to go back to kind of reality because you almost get warped for this period of time where set is your life. And then you go back to reality and it's like you got to find, you know, maybe you go back to a serving job or like I tutor in my off time when I'm not on set.
What do you tutor?
I tutor math.
Wow.
I tutor math.
So you play piano, you write songs, you act. Well, most actors do not understand math.
I've always been kind of analytical in a lot of ways, in kind of the ways that I think about things. And I think that way of thinking sometimes conflicts with actors because there's a lot of actors that I see that they don't have to think too much. They're just able to, okay, I know who this person is. I understand the scene and just jump straight in.
So does that hold you back?
In some ways, yeah. Because I get in my head in the way of I want to do it right. And in art, oftentimes there's not a right way.
Yeah, it was like, what's right?
There's not a right way. It's just what you want to express. And that's a hurdle as a person that I had to come over and overcome and be like, this is okay that I'm just giving this take. And if they don't like it, then they can adjust me some way and say, let's go more this direction, or like, let's tilt it this way to find who this person really is.
You know, I said I didn't have any papers. Like I said, there weren't any questions written out or anything.
Did you lie?
But I lied because before I came over here, I was thinking about that Myers-Briggs test.
Yes.
Have you ever taken that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's 4 really tenets to it. I mean, there's 16 different things, but like energy-wise, are you a social person, like to go out with friends and do all that kind of stuff, or do you prefer being alone and maybe writing your songs or something? Which one are you, do you think, or which one do you tend toward?
I think it's changed over the course of my life. Now I'm much more willing to go out and like hang out with friends and be social. When I was younger, I spent a lot of time by myself, kind of ruminating on things and just creating stuff. And I'm trying to get back to there. But with what I've been through, you know, like with my mom and stuff, I want to just go out of the house and experience more and be with friends. And that's something that I've made a focus in my life, I think, to focus on more.
So your instinct, I guess, was to be, was the inward part or the introvert part forced on you, or did it come natural to you? If somebody says, hey, listen, we're all going to dinner, is your first instinct to go, okay? I mean,
honestly, no. I mean, if it's my friends, like I'm somebody who, if I'm with my group of friends that I know and that I trust, I'm so cool with that. If it's people that I've never met before, it's like a whole group that I've never met before, and I've got to get like the first, shtick in, and you get through all the small talk and stuff. That's when I'm like, okay, I've got to pull more out of me to do that. But I feel like if I'm with my group of friends, we're gonna have good conversations. It's gonna be, it's gonna be just like everyday life.
So what is the small talk you have to get through?
Just, I mean,
What do you
it's
do?
it's initial awkwardness. Yeah, what do you do? Just kind of the initial introductions, trying to get to know who can I trust this person? Do I relate to this person? Do we see each other kind of eye to eye in
How
some
do you
ways?
figure out whether you can trust a person or not?
Honestly, I don't know. It's more just like a sense.
Okay.
It's more just like an intuitive, like, I can trust this person.
Right.
Like, I think sometimes you just know.
So that was my next question is, in terms of information, is it facts or intuition on your part? Do you get feelings about people, or do you base it on, well, nice shoes, nice watch, seems like a good person? Which one do you go for?
I tend to go more on just my intuition and kind of what I feel in the situation. I am analytical and I do think about things that way, but it's a switch I can turn on and off. If I'm not actively thinking about it, if I'm not like thinking, okay, this is something I'm going to have to kind of gear up for, then I rely more just on what are the vibes? What am I getting from the situation?
And where do you get those vibes? I mean, does it come from like your stomach, your heart, your
heart, your stomach, your body, I feel like tells you inherently what it's thinking and what it's feeling. And I've learned to trust that more as I get older.
Okay. And when you make a decision like to fly to LA to do a short film or something, is it based on facts or intuition or feelings?
Probably feelings. Because any logical explanation of that probably would not sit well with most people.
Moving to Atlanta to be an actor is not...
It doesn't sit well with most people.
Yeah.
Most of the people in my family have no idea why I do it. And there's not a logical explanation I can really give them as to why, other than just it feels like the right move. Especially just right now. I just feel like it's the right thing to do.
So lifestyle-wise, are you very structured in your life, or are you more like carefree and flexible in things?
I'm definitely more carefree and flexible honestly to a fault. There's things I need to be more disciplined in my personal life that I honestly am not in a lot of ways. But when I am given that structure, if I know I have to be on set at a certain time and I'm on set and I'm in the space to do what I need to do, I feel like something just kicks in, something kicks on, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go.
So where's that come from? What was it like growing up? Was it more flexible, or were you more structured?
I think I had to learn to be flexible and almost like a chameleon wherever I was, because growing up with split parents, you go from one side to the other side, and every house, whether it's mom or dad, had a different set of rules, had a different, vibe in terms of this is how mom rolls, this is how dad rolls. So you learn to adapt really quickly going back and forth. And at that time, I was going back and forth basically every other day. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'd be with my mom. Tuesday, Thursday, I'd be with my dad, and then switch off every weekend. So it was this constant back and forth switch between the houses that I had to figure out, okay, how am I gonna adapt to this new environment? And that was honestly really hard. I remember breaking down a lot and being like, this is hard for me to shift kind of my emotional weight in terms of...
where were you in all this?
Mm-hmm.
You're the least important ingredient, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know, but...
Yeah.
So they had different rules, or are they just different people or something?
Different people. Mom was much more kind of my way or the highway. She was more, she was disciplinarian, but also loved me really, really well. Dad was more lax in terms of things. And I felt, free to express parts of myself more at my dad's maybe than I did at my mom's, and vice versa. I would say growing up, I was definitely kind of closer with my mom and developed more of a personal relationship with her. And I think survival wise, you have to choose one to go to and to rely on when you're growing up, because you just want to feel that sense of safety that you are, that you're safe in the space that you're in. And so I think for me, that was mom at the time.
So how does that translate into your success or failure as an actor when you get into a scene? Have you thought about that? In other words, if you had to be a chameleon, if you had to change yourself all the time, did that help you become an actor, or does it hold you back from making choices?
I think it's really useful for an actor to be able to morph and to be able to do that. And people can say, that's shady, that's you're slipping into someone else, or, something like that. But I don't think that's really the case. I think it's, you have an understanding for what that person is going through and what they have to adapt to. So the character has adaptations that they have to make in their life, and you're able to do that because you've adapted it before too.
Okay. So you think it's going to help you in your career?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How come, like, I can ask you anything and you just spill your soul, it seems like. Why is that? Are you that way all the time?
No.
Why are you that way here?
Because it's a space where I've confirmed in my mind that this is a safe space to do that. It's not always the case where, somebody's listening, or that somebody, is willing just to sit down and take a rest and just talk about things. A lot of people are busy a lot of the time. It's hard to get people to sit down and really just have a in-depth conversation, more past how are you doing, just like the kind of casual conversation of it.
That's the incredible, I guess, wonderful part of a podcast is that it's not like you're forced, but it is just two people just talking.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives, to me at least, it gives you the freedom to ask questions that would take a long time and a long dinner to actually get to, because not many people talk about acting.
It's kind of a hard thing to relate to unless you've experienced it, or you've gone to class or tried it in some way and, can relate to it in that way.
Yeah.
But when you can, and when you find people who are open to talking about it in the process, it's really exciting. And I get a lot from it. I feel like maybe they get a lot from it, and you're just sharing your experience, what you're learning in class. And that's an exciting thing. It's fun to talk about.
Are you the best one in your class, the worst one, or in the middle?
I'm somewhere in between. I mean, I try not to compare too much, because you're always going to bring, I think, something different to a scene than someone else can, just because of who you are and, your body, your voice, your face. I mean, all these things play into it. And that's why, they say that there's never been an original thought or idea, because it's all just kind of rinse and repeat through different people. And so people get excited when they see a new face, they see something, I've never seen this person before. How are they going to react in this situation? That part's exciting. It's cool to see how this one person that you've never met is going to react to the situation, and you're going to be entertained.
So, but the people in your class, when they're watching you, that's your audience. Are they overwhelmed? Do people come up and go, "Oh my God, you're the best thing ever," or do they just go, "Yeah, that's nice. Now here's some." I mean, what's the response? Because that tells you whether you're at the top of the class or the bottom of the class.
Mostly
people want to meet you.
Mostly
usually
good remarks after I've done something. They're like, "That was really strong. That was really good. I'm glad that you did that, and that you were that vulnerable with us." And that's what they'll say is, "I'm glad that it really felt like you embodied that, or that you understood that." So that's always the biggest praise or compliment.
Yeah. So do you get in your head acting wise?
I try not to as much anymore. I definitely did. You were my first acting class, and I remember being so nervous, and it goes back to that idea of feeling okay to express and giving yourself permission. I felt like for the longest time I didn't have that permission to do that. And once I finally gave myself the permission to express and to really emote and get into it, that all kind of washed away. But I mean, I still deal with nerves, just kind of an inherent, nervousness. I think everybody does. But the obstacle is not letting it inhibit your performance and still being able to be there for the character.
Yeah. And how did you get rid of that, or how did you get past it?
repetition, just doing it over and over again, just rewiring your system to say this is a safe space, this is okay. And also being on set so much as I was in front of the camera, being comfortable in front of the crew doing things, all that kind of breaks that down to where you don't really worry about it as much.
And that director that you liked on that film,
Mm-hmm.
what was his style? How did he make a safe space? Show business is very seldom a true safe place, you know?
It's a relationship that I saw between the director and the actor. They become a team. They become, I feel like, this bond that, honestly, if there was something wrong that, you know, Anne Hathaway was going through that day, she would say, David, I need to talk to you. Or, you know, she would really like reach out to him and say, you know, this is what's going on, or like share her concerns. And it becomes this really, for that time at least, this strong relationship, because you're trying to make it the best that you can be, and you're trying to make sure that you're getting what the director wants if he wants a certain thing for a scene, and that you're pulling that through, but also you bring your own ideas. So it's kind of this balance between what do I take from the director and how much am I allowed to give of myself.
So he was sort of taking her off to the side, or it wasn't like giving direction in front of the whole cast and crew or something like that. Was that what's
Right.
going on?
There were a lot of times that I'd see actors kind of pulled aside, and they would really just kind of digest the scene. Of course, they've both done their work on the front end, but maybe they're not seeing eye to eye on certain things. And so they have like a little powwow and be like, okay, this is how I want to do it. It's not coming, maybe the director's saying it's not coming across that way, and they're having to work through it. And one of the coolest things that I saw, there was this one day, it's this really, really emotional scene that Anne Hathaway was prepping for. And she, just watching her process, watching her do it so many different ways, and also just her awareness of where the camera was and her actions. I mean, she has just like this awareness of where the camera is at all times. And her movement reflects that. I mean, just she nails it. I mean, it's just that's one thing, is the pacing. You kind of have to feel the pacing of the camera, but also stay true to the moment and the scene. And that's a challenge too.
Yeah. People don't understand, I think, a lot of times that there's different levels that you're working on, because part of you, you know, it's wonderful to be emotional, but if you are rocking or getting off the frame, then there's not much point to it.
There's a certain structure to it that, you know, if you're coming from theater, you're not used to. You're not used to being kind of like, okay, we need you to stay in this spot, or we need you to stay on this mark, still do what you're going to do. But now we're kind of like mangling you into this certain spot that you have to be in to make it work.
Yeah. And that's things that, you know, it sort of ruins you sometimes, because I know people that are my friends or whatever, they're like, did you actually watch some movie, Brad? Or did you sit there and say, well, that didn't work, or this didn't work? And I'm sorry, but I don't, you know, it's really hard for me to just let a movie wash over me. I sit there and I'm like, yeah, she's really poor in this scene, but she has a $6 million trailer that she's going back to. She's not really, you know, I forget what movie it was, but that was a real clear thing for me. Like, this person was homeless and scrounging for food, and the other part of me is like, yeah, but she's not really. There's an aide over there that's going to bring her food. And I don't know. You know.
I think I have a new way to watch movies. When I watch a movie now, I try to go in and not have just no expectations. I try to go in with no expectations and just say, I'm going to sit here, watch and enjoy this movie. And then on the second watch, I'm going to go back, rewatch it. And then I can pick it apart and be like, okay, this is what the director was doing with this shot. This is what the actor is doing in this scene, and really pick it apart and digest it that way. But the first time, I just want to watch it, and I just want to enjoy it just as if any other audience member would.
I do too, but I can't.
I'm like, it's super system in your mind. It's
thinking where the boom is, and you know, and everything. I see all the edges. I don't see the heart. A lot of times.
I turn my brain off, and I'm like, I want to feel. Just let me feel this movie out, and let me see what are the moments that I'm going to get something really good out of. And you know, people are so, I think, too critical of movies these days. I think because, you know, maybe it's they want to be a part of it or they want to do it, but I think every bad movie, good movie, they all have good moments that you can find that you can say, I can relate to that. And as long as that's there, you make some kind of connection to it. In my mind, the director or the creatives behind it, they've done their job, you know?
Yeah. That's really kind of you.
maybe that is really kind, you know,
No,
gracious, but I think you know, because you can pull something, I feel like, out of maybe not every movie, but a lot of movies I feel like you can pull a moment from and be like, I understood that.
Well, you know, having done a lot of bad, not great work or whatever, because you don't get to do the greatest work just once in a while. You know, I think it's what we don't understand a lot of times is even the worst of movies, all of those people on that movie, for the most part, were working hard. They believed in it. They weren't trying to make a bad movie.
No.
They're actually all trying to get an Academy
trying
Award.
very hard to make it happen,
Yeah.
to make it work.
But, you know, we go in to Netflix or whatever you do, and they go, well, that's no good. That's no good. That's no good. And you're like, those people spent their life or 6 months of their life or 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going, click. You know, we get pretty hard sometimes about
And well, that's another thing that I saw on set was the executive producers getting into it with the director, being like, this scene's too long, we need to cut this. And it's like, and he just turned around and he was like, this is the heart of the movie. Like, we have to have this. And so they're fighting for every ounce of the script that they made that they can keep because they think it's important. And the executives are like, no, we need to cut this down. It's too long, or it's not gonna hit the way that you think it's gonna hit.
Wow. See, and that's that push and pull that people don't understand, because it is people's money being spent, and yet it's the heart of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So you were like, in some ways, getting to be invisible and just seeing all of this stuff play out.
Yeah, being a fly on the wall in a lot of ways, it can be an advantage in a lot of ways just to learn how this actually operates, because there's so much, I think, red velvet tape or, you know, glass door kind of energy behind what happens on a film set, and nobody really knows what it's like. And to get to see it firsthand, that these are all people working very hard, just everyday people like you and me, that, you know, I feel like sometimes it's just this facade of Hollywood that it all works out and everything's perfect and these people are perfect, and they have problems just like you and me. There's days that they don't want to be on set, that they get tired, that, you know, it's still a job at the end of the day for them. And it's a really, really cool job. It's really, really amazing what they get to do, but they're still just people, you know?
Yeah. They have bad relationships and bad breakfast or whatever, you know, they have to put all that away. What's the trajectory of your life, do you think? Where's it going?
With the film industry slowing down so much, honestly, I'm at a time where I'm questioning a lot my decisions and to stay and to do it. And I think a lot of people get discouraged. It's easy to get discouraged and to hang it up and say, it's just not going to work out. And I don't think I'm there. I definitely still want to stay in the mix and to do it. It's very challenging, and I think it's a lot more challenging than what people think it is to be so passionate about something and to feel like the world's pushing against you in every way, whether it's financially or family, or there's someone trying to hold you back, and you kind of have to break through that and say, this is still in my bones what I feel like I'm supposed to do. So that's the battle that I think really any creative person or actor, whoever, goes through to stay in it, is to break past the discouragement and say, no, I'm still here. I still want to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, usually those people break through at some point. You know, when I look back, it took really 10 years of hanging on to those little triumphs before you actually got a job, you know, like a job that made you a living or something. So,
but they don't see it until that happens.
You don't see it, you know.
That's why you have to have, I think, the assurance of self of, you know, even if I don't, you know, get financially where I need to be with this, I'm still going to pursue it, even if it's really hard in the meantime, because it's what I love to do. And at the end of the day, that's, I think, why we all do it.
It's probably a good place to stop right there, you know. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. Made in Nacogdoches. We'll see you next time.
There ain't nothing wrong with me that you can't fix. There ain't nothing wrong with me a little TLC can't lick. I got